Okay, well, I wanted to talk about this. I was watching a video by Playing with Fire who was talking about a woman who married a man, saved herself for marriage. I believe he saved himself for marriage, and he basically surprised her with a micro penis on their honeymoon. And basically was saying how, he was trying to hide the fact that he was so small. A major thing that I kind of find is like, I never understood why being small would be considered a bad thing, so to speak. Like, to me, it never makes any sense because people always act like all women like the same thing. Whenever I hear that someone is smaller, I think, oh, that's a good thing. Now, I understand in that case, they were saying he was only like an inch and a quarter. And in that case, you would say, okay, who would enjoy an inch and a quarter? And even I would find that there's a problem with that. To me, 3 inches is pretty good. 3, 4 inches, that's my preference. If anything, on the higher end, it would be 5 inches. 6 inches is like a little too much for me, honestly. 6 inches is like, if you know anything about females, with females, many of the time, um, the way one's one is down there during our cycles, things kind of change, kind of like right after your cycle. It's very different from when you're ovulating to after you're ovulating. The environment of one's, vagina is very different. So for me, it's just like it's easier with someone who's like 6 inches only during when I'm like ovulating, basically. But basically, throughout the month, it's generally like 3 to 5 inches anyway. So to me, 1 inch would probably be too small, but still, even then, I don't get why size would really matter, as far as being too small. To me, it never made any sense because anyone can get an extension. There are penis sleeves out there. And so anyone who's a little too small for someone's preference, they can always get a little bit bigger. So I never really understood why being small would ever be a problem for anyone for that matter. Because anyone can use a sleeve, you know? With people who are too big, you can't use a minimizer. There is no minimizer. Now, people could say you can use something to make sure there are certain things that you can use to make sure that you aren't penetrated as much, basically. But at the same time, with that whole situation, nothing helps with the girth. Someone like me who doesn't like girth, my main thing is I don't like a lot of girth, basically. Someone like me would basically find that there's no minimizer for a man who is big, who's thick, you know what I mean? So to me, I've always thought being big is a deal breaker. I've never thought being small was a deal breaker, even if he's 1 inch for that matter. If he's 1 inch, he can still use an extension, and then that makes up for the size he's missing. I mean, for me anyway, he only needs 2 more inches. It's not like that bad to me. I mean, like if someone's even a little bit below 3 inches, wouldn't be a big deal to me. And to me, more the thing is people who are too big. If you have something that's way too big, you can't please me anyway. So I don't understand why that would be something people would be able to try to work with more than being small. If you can't fit into a hole, how is that going to be a better thing than someone who is small who can fit and just needs to fill that hole? That never made sense to me. I mean, it makes more sense being able to fill a hole that you can already fit into rather than not being able to fit in a hole, And I understand many women are built like hallways, big as a hallway, all that stuff, So then big men, are easier to work with. But someone like me, I just don't understand. Like, people assume that all women are frowning upon small penises. I am not one who frowns upon small penises. Sorry, I just got an alert on the other app. But to me, I do not laugh at that. I do not frown upon it. I do not see anything wrong with it. Honestly, if you ask me, I frown upon big penises because those can't do anything. I mean, if they can't fit in you, then there's no use for it. That's just my perspective. I don't get why anyone would expect me to see it any other way. And I don't understand why people expect all women to have very huge vaginas. Like, some of us have very small vaginas because we're very petite and delicate women, you know. So, that's all I have to say in this video. Thanks for watching and bye. Like and subscribe.